Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about how to employ a multilateral approach to deal with chronic fatigue syndrome, or otherwise known as ME/CFS. Today we're just going to focus on the natural things that you can do to deal with this illness, and hopefully after employing a multifaceted strategy with a little bit of diligence, effort, patience and time, our aim is to achieve a healing from this illness. Now before we begin, I just want to stress that by no means am I a medical professional. None of the advice in this video should be taken as professional medical advice. I am purely mentioning the different aspects that have helped me along the way to managing this illness. Also, I want to mention that everyone's body is different. Some things may work well for some people, whereas other people may have not as much success by implementing a certain scheme. So please bear this in mind, please. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Number one, fixing our frame of mind. I think it is important that I mention this first because it is the most challenging part to address right at the outset of the early stage of this illness. It is the time when you have absolutely no idea what's going on with all these unexplainable symptoms. We start by stressing and developing an unprecedented anxiety with this situation. I won't go into any more detail. I believe we all can relate exactly how we feel in the early stages of this illness. I think we can also agree that a mind-body connection exists. If the mind is stressed, then there are negative repercussions that get reflected in the body and symptoms intensify as a result. And the reality is that not only is our mind stressed, but our mind is also out of control as we ruminate over symptoms. So I want to cut to the chase here with this. We need to stop these uncontrollable compulsive thoughts. And in my experience, the best way I have managed to do this with myself personally is to do this through mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It can be defined as follows. Mindfulness means maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of our thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and our surrounding environment. You're essentially paying attention, observing different sensations through your senses. Now, what I want to suggest is to do this simply by just paying attention to your breath. Every breath that you take in and every breath that you release. Focus your attention on every single breath for as long as you can. Now, there is a common misconception that some people think that in order to practice mindfulness, you need to be sat on the ground in a cross-legged posture with your eyes closed. No, you can practice mindfulness at any instant in your life when you're conscious. Whether that means sitting on the floor, or whether you're walking on the street, or whether you are going to work or you're at work, you can practice mindfulness at any time in your day for as long as you want. Now simply pay attention to every breath going in and out. It is optimum to do this by breathing through your nose, okay? So please bear that in mind. You'll find that after a certain period of time that this will put you into a relaxed and meditative state, which will calm your nervous system down and stop you from ruminating over negative thoughts. And that is the initial objective with mindfulness. Stop the uncontrollable compulsive thoughts and ultimately create room for constructive and positive thoughts in our minds. I believe this is a critical part for creating a healing environment within the body. We need to overcome negative thoughts in order to lay down the foundation for constructive and positive thoughts. I know it is hard to be positive all the time, especially when we're dealing with a debilitating illness like this one. But with practice, this becomes a very powerful technique which will help you to create the right frame of mind for recovery. Number two, diet. You might have heard of the phrase that you are what you eat. I think it is important to stress that eating healthy is critical for our recovery. Now, I was lucky that I was born and raised through a family that provided me with healthy food, but I feel that once you develop ME/CFS, you start to realize how important this is, as seemingly in the beginning, just about everything that you eat causes a flare-up or bogs you down. This needs a little bit of trial and experimentation to find out which diet is suitable for you, and we should also identify what are the key foods to eliminate from our diet. Now, I've tried and experimented with many different diets depending on how long you have had ME/CFS. You might have heard that there are a lot of different opinions about which diet to adopt in your recovery strategy. Personally, for me, the diet that I think is best, or at least the one that worked best for me, is a plant-based diet. The reason I say this is because I found that after eating vegetables and cutting out meat in my diet over the period of approximately 2 weeks, I found that my flare-ups and my symptoms were less intense and they became a little bit more manageable. Vegetables and fruits are a lot more easier to digest, whereas I found that in my experience when eating meat, I used to get these intense food comas, and I just had this prolonged feeling in my body that something was just not right. Whereas when incorporating a vegetarian diet, it was a lot easier for me, on my digestive system, and I found that, as opposed to becoming sluggish after food, with the vegetarian diet, I felt more grounded and energized after having a meal. Now, I just want to reiterate that this is my own personal experience, and this may vary from person to person, but there are other encouraging reasons to adopt a plant-based diet, and here are some reasons why. A plant-based diet is anti-inflammatory. It also improves the health of your gut, so you're better able to absorb nutrients from your food, which in turn also supports your immune system. It's also less calorific and boosts your metabolism to lose excess weight and fat. And if you're struggling with weight issues, this can be really important. It also protects you from developing other chronic ailments further down the line, and there are many more benefits which you can find just by doing a little bit of research. The only disadvantage that I have found is that you will miss out on vitamin B12 by not consuming animal products if you decide to go vegan. Vegetarians, on the other hand, can get vitamin B12 from dairy products and eggs. Foods that you should limit or eliminate from your diet are junk food, foods with refined sugar in them, such as cakes, donuts, muffins, etc. You should also avoid sugar-sweetened beverages, sugar drinks. But remember, sometimes on occasion, you can treat yourself to one of these things. I'm just trying to create a picture for you on what's the unhealthy foods that are not going to do you any good or have poor nutritional value. Carrying on, we should also avoid the processed and ultra-processed foods, which have many unnatural preservatives in them and are unhealthy in general, as this comes with a toll on the body when eaten. Think more fresh, energizing foods, such as beans, lentils, complex carbohydrates in general, and fresh fruit and nuts. Also, it's better to have fruits that are in season. So do a little bit of research about what your favorite healthy foods and check to see when they are in season. Because otherwise, chances are is that those foods are going to have some preservatives in them which we don't want. Now, I know that this all sounds a bit strict, but try to attention to your body and see which foods are easy to digest for you and see what energizes you. Remember that at some point after dealing with this illness, you will become the expert on your own body and you will know best about what diet is the best diet for yourself. And based on the fact that different people have succeeded with different diets, I'm just reiterating what has worked for me after a few years of experimentation with different diets. On to caffeinated beverages. Caffeine is a stimulant, which means it increases the activity in your brain and nervous system. It also creates a circulation of hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline in the body, which keeps us wired throughout the day, making it harder to get into the rest and digest state. So you have to limit this as well. On occasion on the weekend, if I'm out with my friends, I'll treat myself to having a cup of coffee or tea very early in the morning. But you cannot rely on this as a fuel for your daily routine because it's just going to overstimulate your nervous system and you'll find that it's going to be hard to rest and build on your recovery. One final point that I want to mention is that if organic food is available to you, maybe it might be worth giving them a try and incorporating it into your diet. The disadvantage of this is that organic food is normally more expensive than non-organic foods. There is not a lot of evidence to suggest that organic food is the key for recovery. I personally consume organic coffee and organic foods whenever I get the chance, as I have personally realized that my body doesn't have negative reactions from eating organic foods. This might be because organic foods are free from artificial chemicals such as artificial fertilizers and pesticides. So I would say if you can shop for organic food, then it is worth trying to use them and put them into your meals and see how you feel after eating them. Number 3, sleep. Now, when I first started out, insomnia was a big issue. So here are my best tips to getting restful sleep. Firstly, you're going to need to give yourself a significant amount of time to wind down, more than the average healthy person. After a day's worth of work, or after any strenuous activity, or after a mentally stressful situation, the way I like to do this best is by connecting with nature and getting some fresh air a few hours before you go to sleep. That could be going to the park or driving up to the mountains or even anything as simple as having a stroll outdoors. If you're able to do so, then that's great. If you're lucky to have a beach nearby you, then that's also a great place to go to. There is something about getting fresh air in nature which calms the body and the mind. If you can practice any low-stress activities such as meditation outdoors, then that would also be fantastic. The next thing I would say is having dinner approximately 3 hours before bedtime to ensure your body digests the food to the point where you have an empty stomach. It is not any good to go to bed whilst having food in your stomach, as this builds inertia in the body and it makes it both harder to go to sleep and get a restful sleep at night. The next thing I would say is practice some deep breathing exercises or any type of deep breathing exercise approximately 1 hour before you go to bed. If you can practice a bit of mindfulness at this point as well, then that is also good. If you have a lot of thoughts going through your mind, then another good way of clearing your mind is actually by doing some journaling. This is a very good habit which is very underrated. Getting all your thoughts down on a piece of paper or a journal can really help unload things off your chest. When I first heard about this journaling, I really didn't give it any credit, but I learned to start doing it from a friend of mine, and I'm really glad I picked it up as a good habit from him, because it actually produces good results if you give it a fair try, that is. Having some of your favorite calming herbal teas such as chamomile or mint tea before going to bed can also help. The thing we're trying to do here is to calm the nervous system down. Some research says the optimum time for you to go to sleep is relatively early at around 10 p.m. And it's also very important to be consistent with your sleep routine. Going to sleep and getting up at the same time every day so that your circadian rhythm of your body or your body clock can adjust itself and regulate itself. When going to sleep, keep your room slightly cool. Anywhere between 20 to 24 degrees is optimal. Also, crack open a window maybe to make sure that your room is well aerated and so that you can breathe properly throughout the night. Ideally, you should be getting anywhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It may not be perfect every night, but these are very good sleep habits to put into place, and they'll lay down the foundation for you to get a good night's sleep. Remember to be gentle and kind to yourself at all times, and with a bit of patience, your sleep should improve over time. Number 4, exercise. My advice here would be to avoid any strenuous exercises such as weight lifting and bodyweight exercises. Go for low impact exercises and start gently. I would recommend going for a walk, or at least going for a walk at least once in a day if you can, as I mentioned before. Preferably, if it is possible, try to go for walks in nature, such as in the woods, mountains, or beaches. Once you get a little bit better and you can start doing some cycling or even a slow jog, or to get your blood circulation going. If it doesn't feel any good, then stop. You can also try stretching or doing yoga or even some qigong. If you can do it outdoors, then that's great. Otherwise, you can do it at home. Try getting into the routine of practicing these activities, and you can also do them whenever appropriate to relieve some stress, to help calm your nervous system down. Whatever exercise you choose to do, make sure that you're doing it in a rhythm which is both enjoyable and calming to you. Number 5, pacing. This one is self-explanatory, but let me elaborate a little bit. You need to put in a pacing strategy where you have several breaks in between activities so that you're not overwhelming yourself. You cannot do everything all at once. Consider this analogy. Every day you have a bucket of water. Imagine that bucket of water is the energy that you have per day. Every day you use this bucket of water to water your plants. Your plants are the activities that you do in a day. You cannot use too much water, otherwise your plants will drown. So you need to use a little bit of water, a little bit of at a time, to have a healthy plant. Or in other words, you use your energy a little bit at a time in your daily activities to have a healthy lifestyle. In addition, your water or your energy has a limit for every day, so you cannot do too many things on a given day, otherwise you will overwhelm yourself and crash. To put this in another way, slow and steady wins the race. Number 6, stress management. In this part, we will look specifically at work and relationship stress, as these tend to be one of the most significant external stressors. Start off with work stress. You need to work in a low stress environment. I used to work in a corporate job in London, and it was extremely challenging to work and cope with this illness because of the hectic lifestyle I had. If the work environment is socially toxic, then this is also another problem. You need to be in a positive and a psychologically reinforcing environment. I know it is easier said than done, but if you are working on a job that you don't like, or if you're in a socially toxic environment, that's a big issue that needs to be solved. If you work on a job that you love for 8 hours in a day, then just imagine what that can do for you. Remember that we are using a multilateral strategy here. We are trying to get as many wins as possible to reinforce our psychological state of mind, which is very important for our recovery. The same goes for your relationships. Avoid toxic relationships in your social circle. Make sure you surround yourself with a strong social support system. Your family, your friends, your partner, anyone you feel comfortable with to support you in your recovery journey. Number 7, environment. The environment that you live in is important. If you can, choose to live somewhere where there are a lot of trees and a place where you can connect with nature. Somewhere close to the beach, for example. So after a couple of years of fighting this illness, I decided to move back home and found a decent job where I could have a reasonable work-life balance and a place where I could work in a low-stress environment. A place where life is just a little bit laid back, which is what I needed and to aid me in my recovery. I would say that doing this alone helped improve my recovery by approximately 10%, which is a significant amount and is worth doing. If you feel that you are not living in the right environment, then maybe this is something you can change as well. If you can, try relocating to a place that has less air pollution, a place where you can easily, connect with nature, and ideally a place that has good weather, where you can get a little bit of sunlight more often than not. Is on a good day, that's great. There are numerous benefits to living close to nature, and getting exposure to it on a daily basis will undoubtedly make you feel a little bit better and help ease the effects of this illness. Number 8, creating a sense of purpose. If your work does not fulfill your life's purpose, then you should try to find an activity that drives you to aid you in your recovery. This is primarily therapeutic and supportive, and I think that you can go a long way by tending to your hobbies, as they help put you in the right frame of mind that we were talking about earlier. And this will help you boost your psychology, which helps us during our recovery. This is hard. Many of us don't know if we have a purpose in our life, which is well established in our minds. With a little bit of self-reflection, you can definitely find something. We are all special and unique in our own ways, and there's definitely something that we can find to add value to either our own lives or to other people's lives, which will please us as a result. Start by asking yourself these questions. What activities make me happy? Is it painting or gardening or playing music or looking after my children? Personally speaking, for me, I like to play music, and I'm passionate about creating content on this YouTube channel. This sense of drive and passion really puts a good spin on your psychology, and it sometimes even makes you forget for a couple of moments that you're actually ill. So I would strongly advise on being brave and doing a bit of self-exploration, and ask yourself, what do I really want to do in my life? Brain training. This is a key part for many people who have recovered from this illness. There are a couple of brain training programs out there. I had a look at some and watched some of their free content. After doing a little bit of research, I decided to try the ANS Rewire program. I thought it was a very good program that explained a lot about the challenges of this illness. I can't give too much away about the content, but I learned about some important aspects, such as the dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system, the plasticity of the brain, and some meditation techniques. As I said, I thought it was a very good program. There were some things about it, the delivery of the program, that I thought could have been improved, but all in all, I would recommend giving ANS Rewire a try, as it gives you the knowledge that you will need about the illness and equips you with the right tools to building your way back to recovery. I just want to add a quick disclaimer here. I'm not being sponsored by anyone to say anything here. In other words, no one is paying me to say anything about the content of this video. I'm purely sharing my own experience for what has worked for me. I would also add that there is a lot of value for money in purchasing the ANS Rewire program, albeit I've not explored other brain training programs in depth. If you haven't tried the brain training program, I would recommend doing a little bit of research for yourself on and see which one appeals to you, and give brain training a go. Number 10, positive affirmations. I believe this is another technique where some people may underestimate its power. Now, what are self-affirmations exactly, and how are they important? Positive affirmations make you visualize and believe certain statements to make positive changes in your life. Affirmations are phrases that you repeat to yourself to change your subconscious thoughts, and when practiced over time, they replace negative beliefs or thoughts with good ones. If you implement this technique well and consistently, it is a powerful way to change your subconscious mind, which is very important for your mental health and for your recovery as well. This technique ultimately instills confidence, positivity, and ambition, which we all really need in our lives. I created the video with 50 positive affirmations that you can recite to yourself every day. I'll put the link in the description box below, or you could click over here to go to it directly. You can practice reciting these affirmations at any time, particularly when you feel stressed. It can be reinforcing. I would recommend at least reciting some positive affirmations every morning and every night before you go to bed, and at any time if you have any negative thoughts that begin to overwhelm you. You can recite a couple of these positive affirmations to help you get any ruminating thoughts out of your head. Number 11, belief and prayer. Now I know not everyone is religious, so I've included something here for both people who are and people who are not religious in this part of the video. Let's start off with belief. No matter where you are in your recovery, you have to believe that you will recover. And I can tell you from my own experience that I went down to a 2 out of 10 on a scale of 0 being worst to health and 10 being the best health before I climbed back to where I am now. Now, one thing that religious people have which helps them in their recovery is that they have that unshaking belief that they will recover. I believe this is very powerful and is something that non-religious people also need in their lives. Now, what fuels this for religious people is practicing their religion. Primarily through prayer, this is what gives religious people the power to take their recovery to the next level. Now, what you can do if you are not religious is substitute prayer with positive affirmations and make it into your own ritual. Over time and practice, you should see that practicing these things, you will give yourself the extra power that you need to fuel your recovery to the next level. In case you don't know, we've heard of countless stories of people who were bedbound making a full recovery and gain back their life. So you can do this. Implement as many of these strategies as you can, and you should see a difference in your life. But remember, you should believe that you can recover. This illness makes us all strong deep inside, and we need to tap into that inner power and belief that we can turn the table around back into our favor. Number 12, additional therapies. Now, there are a number of things that you can do to help you make yourself feel better. Here's a list of things that you can try, but in honesty, I haven't tried all of these things. I've heard about some other people who have tried some of these therapies. It needs a little bit of experimentation to see what works for you. Some of these things may include monthly full body massages, showering twice a day, alternating hot and cold showers, acupressure, acupuncture, and some more extreme things like sauna and ice baths. Now, these last two therapies are more extreme. They have lots of benefits for healthy people, but I don't know how people with CFS would react to having a sauna or an ice bath. So please be cautious and consult with your healthcare professional before trying these two activities out. If you have tried having a sauna or an ice bath, I would really like to know about your experience if you could share with us in the comments section below. I know this list may have appeared to be a little bit exhaustive, so let's summarize everything here, and then I'll go over my final thoughts and advice.
Number 1, fixing our frame of mind. Understanding the mind-body connection. Doing mindfulness and focusing our attention on the breath. Overcoming negative thoughts and laying the foundation for positive, constructive thoughts. Number 2, diet. You are what you eat. Advantages of the plant-based diet. Experimenting to finding your own optimum diet. Avoiding junk and processed foods. And incorporating organic foods. Number 3, sleep. Winding down early and incorporating low-stress activities. Connecting with nature a few hours before bedtime. Having dinner 3 hours before bedtime. Journaling and doing mindfulness and meditation. Drinking herbal teas. Having a cool room anywhere between 20 to 24 degrees Celsius. And aiming for a total of 7 to 9 hours of sleep on average. Number 4, exercise. Avoid strenuous activities. Do low-impact exercises such as walking, jogging, and cycling. Exercise outdoors if possible. Do some stretching and yoga and qigong. Number 5, pacing. Remember, you cannot do everything all at once. Taking adequate breaks for rest. Using the bucket of water analogy. Slow and steady wins the race. Number 6, stress management. Resolving work stress, resolving relationship stress, and finding a strong social support system. Number 7, environment. Relocating somewhere where nature is accessible if possible. Relocating to somewhere with good weather if possible. Exposure to nature such as the woods, mountains, and beaches. Number 8, finding a sense of purpose. Finding a fulfilling job or activity, tending towards your hobbies, and asking yourself, what do I really want to do in my life? Number 9, brain training. Exploring different brain training programs such as ANS Rewire and doing meditation. Number 10, positive affirmations. Practicing positive affirmations. Referring to the video with 50 positive affirmations. Link in the description. Correcting your subconscious thoughts. Number 11, belief in prayer. Instilling belief that you will recover no matter where you are in your recovery. Practicing prayer or practicing positive affirmations. Number 12, additional therapies. Doing monthly full body massages, showering twice a day, doing alternative hot and cold showers, acupressure, acupuncture. Exercise caution with these two activities, sauna and ice baths. Please check first with your healthcare practitioner.
My final thoughts and advice. Remember that if things are not going your way, if they're not going the way you expect them to go, you have to be easy and kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up over things if you're not getting the success that you want straight away. Be gentle to yourself, and remember that when things don't go your way, go back to the first step that I mentioned in this video. Take control over your frame of mind. This is very, very important, and it is the foundation that you will need to start implementing the remaining parts of your recovery strategy into place. Do not expect recovery to necessarily be linear at first. Everyone has good days and bad days. There's some medications and supplements that can help you that can make a difference in your recovery out there. However, in this video, I've purely focused on the natural things that you can do. Remember that for this health challenge, we need to incorporate a multilateral approach, taking into account as many of these strategies as you can in combination to build your way back to health. And finally, never ever give up. You never know when your life will turn around. You need to be patient, strong, and determined for success. And with the right frame of mind, you can do this. I hope this video has been helpful. I'll be making many more videos on health and well-being, so if you like this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give it a good thumbs up or even subscribe for more videos. My name is Kasim. Thank you so much for watching.